Let's head to Melbourne now, where Christian Petracca has returned to training with the Demons. David Zeta is at Melbourne training this morning. David, good to see you. Petracca's on the road back from quite a turbulent period in his career. How's he looking this morning?
He's looking great, Charmaine, at the moment here at Gosh's Paddock in Melbourne, the heart of the footy here in Australia, really. And yes, he has hit the track again. Currently 29 degrees, according to our fearless cameraman and part-time weather forecaster, Tony Escott. It is looking great here at the moment. It's hot, it's sweltering, but Christian Petracca is doing everything he can to tick the boxes he needs to return to his best in 2025 and beyond. We know, of course, earlier this season he had a pretty traumatic injury that ended his season. It was lacerated spleen, ruptured kidneys. There was a lot going on for him that saw him really struggle with recovery and obviously the surgery. And according to his reports, it was life-threatening at times. That's how dire the situation got. There was then, of course, some disenchantment from the Petracca camp, or sections of the Petracca camp, about how his injury was handled. Ultimately, it seems like everyone is back on the same page again. Whether that comes and remains to be seen into the 2025 season is something that will be a watch, I think, for lots of Melbourne fans and for the competition at large. He is one of the best players in the competition at his best. Whether he can get back to his best is another question entirely. But he is looking great at the moment. He went overseas during the off-season, obviously missed the best and fairest, which ruffled the feathers of some, but internally at the club they were okay with it. He went overseas, went to a training camp, and he is now back on track. He looks really fit. Him and Clayton Oliver now both back at training, the two players who were linked with trades throughout the course of the 2024 off-season, but both back here, both all smiles, both giving Simon Goodwin some hugs and having some good chats. So everyone seems to be on the same page. Everything's always rosy in November. What it's like when it comes to the cut and thrust of the 2025 season, we wait to see. But all signs good, all systems go so far for Christian Petracca, and hopefully, for their sake, the Melbourne Demons.
We love to see it. Speaking of the Dees, well, Melbourne's endured a number of controversies since winning the premiership back in 2021. How are they placed to contend next season?
Yeah, well, a lot of the key issues that the Dees were facing off the field seem to have settled. So Glenn Bartlett, a legal case, that's been settled. There's also been some changes off the field. Gary Pert, we know, has now parted ways with the club, or is in the process of parting ways with the club. Brad Green, the interim president, was behind me not too long ago, but there is obviously a host of changes, but Simon Goodwin and the team around him remains pretty stable. So it looks like a lot has changed around Simon Goodwin, but Goodwin himself has been given a mandate to continue to coach this club and to try and get it back into the top 8 and pushing for another premiership, the second under his charge, obviously the 2021 flag during COVID over in Perth. So those issues seem to be a thing of the past for them, or at least easing. We know Joel Smith, of course, the positive drug test and the ban that he has now been issued with, that is something that's still lingering over the club. But you've got Nathan Jones back at the club here. It's almost like a reunion of sorts for that 2021 Melbourne side, although Jones didn't play in the grand final, still a key part of it. So there does seem to be some goodwill and a bit more optimism around the club this time around as compared to what it was potentially this time last year when there was a lot hanging over the club. So obviously having Christian Petracca back, Clayton Oliver back, looking in good touch, that's really important for them. So I think everyone here seems to look like that they've got through the storm, but obviously that storm will kick up once again once the 2025 season starts, especially if they get off to a slow start. But it is looking like a pretty settled lineup at the moment. A couple of new draftees here as well. Whether that obviously holds into the 2025 season, that's the big watch and see, and one that I think the whole competition will have their eyes on.